Hi everyone, welcome to this week's new video on relationships. Um, Thanks for tuning in, I appreciate it. This week's topic is going to be how to survive long distance relationships. So, I personally have been in a couple, so I definitely do know what I'm talking about. My current relationship started out as a long distance one, so I would love to pass on some tips and suggestions if anyone is in a relationship that's long distance, or is going to become a long distance relationship, or if you just have somebody, a spouse or a significant other that travels a lot for work, whatever your case may be. Okay, so number one thing, if you ever want this relationship, long distance relationship, to work, first things first, you have to talk about how are you going to manage it. For example, are you going to be Skyping a lot? Are you going to mostly do like short videos, Snapchat, social media, correspondence, texts, or a combination of whatever you both are planning on keeping it, however you both are planning on keeping in touch. um so it's important to establish that, yes, you know what, every other day we're gonna Skype, or I'm gonna text you every day, like a good morning, good night text, and a phone call in between, you know what I mean? um and that leads us to our next tip: communication. Big part of being in a long distance relationship. So if you don't make the time for your significant other, I guarantee you that that relationship is going to deteriorate. So just like you would make time for your significant other here, meaning like face to face, if you were able to see them every day, you would take your time out to go see them, right? You would go on a date, you would go to their house, they would come over, whatever the case may be, to spend quality time. If you don't communicate with them, communication equals quality time when you're in a long distance relationship. So if you don't take the time to Skype them, call them, find out what's going on, on their end, how their day was, texting them, letting them know you're thinking about them, it's if you don't do that, you're allowing that relationship, you're building that relationship out of sand, basically. And would you build a long lasting, like, house out of sand? Would you build a sandcastle? Would you want something concrete? Would you want something that's gonna last? You know what I mean? So always prioritize, no matter how busy you are, take time out to, to call your significant other, to see how they're doing, to see how their day is. Because if you don't, somebody will. People are always so nosy. They're like, oh, you're in a relationship? Oh, and it's long distance? How do you do it? You know, which is none of their business, but, still, people always want to know. So, like, what do you guys do? And you don't have to answer that, but you do have to make sure that you're doing your part in keeping the relationship private. You don't have to tell your business to anyone. You make time for your significant other. You trust them. You don't blow up their phone and say, hey, where are you? What are you doing right now? If you call them and constantly nag them about what they're doing or who they're with, that's another thing that will quickly end your relationship, because you wouldn't want someone doing that to you. So trust is a big part of a relationship, in any relationship, long distance or otherwise. So trust is an extra big part of a long distance relationship, because they're not with you. You know what I mean? But you have to know that they love you enough, you trust them enough, and they trust you to stay loyal. So, loyalty is essential in any relationship. So, long distance is a given. You know, stay loyal. If anyone tries to interfere in your relationship, you know, and it all starts out when they are nosy, like, how, oh, you're in a long distance relationship? You know, then they scheme. Certain people can scheme and say, you know what, I bet I can get their attention. And if you aren't communicating, or if you don't have that trust with your significant other, you're allowing room for another person to interfere and end your relationship. So, yeah, not good. So, and that leads me to my third tip. If you can visit your significant other, or they can come visit you, that's actually one of the best things you can do. You know, because that face-to-face quality time, that alone time with your significant other, it helps a lot. You know, it finally feels like everything is worth it. The calling, the texting, the dealing with the distance. When you're finally able to visit them, you know, spend time with them one-on-one in person, it makes it all worth it. So it kind of reestablishes the reason why you decided to put up with it in the first place. You know what I mean? Now, if you're the type of person where you're doing everything right, you know, you're calling, you're texting, you're willing to Skype, you're willing to visit, and they're not making the effort, then they're showing you that they can't handle it. There's two reasons. They can't handle being with someone that far because they've never been in a long distance relationship, or they're not willing to put up with the demands of a long distance relationship, the loyalty, the patience, or they just have a busy schedule. You know, whatever the case may be, if that's what they're doing, then you have some thinking to do, because who wants to put up with that? Who wants to make all the effort and not have it reciprocated? You know what I mean? So if somebody's doing that to you, you need to have a long talk with them and see what's going on, because it just might be that you're wasting your time. You know, so don't waste any more time. Look out for you. You know, especially if your heart is into it and theirs isn't. You know. Now, if let's say if you're not into it, say you know, before, let me put it this way, if someone else has your attention, and you feel like the long distance thing is not worth it, it's not working out, before you do anything stupid like cheat on somebody, because when you're in a long distance relationship, people feel like it's the easiest excuse to cheat on someone, which to me is not, like, to me that's being weak. You know what I mean? If you can succumb to problems and the temptations while you're in a long distance relationship, I feel like you're even weaker than I thought you were. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to cheat on somebody and they're with you every day, and it's another thing to cheat on somebody and they agree to be in a long distance relationship with you. You know what I mean? So, but if you find yourself, you know, losing interest in doing a long distance thing, talk to your partner first. Talk to your significant other. Let them know how you are feeling. Don't go and do something stupid just because. That's not gonna work. And I doubt you'll find any meaningful relationship when you cheat on somebody. But if you, like I said, if you are on that other end, you know, talk to your significant other, let them know how you feel, and if they agree with you, you want to take a break, or they say, you know what, let's see each other face to face and talk in person, do that. Communicate. You know what I mean? If you don't talk about it, you can never resolve an issue. 'Cause if you have a problem with them and you didn't tell them, how are they supposed to solve it? So that's something to think about. But my final point that I would like to reiterate, that I think is extremely important as well, is to have a plan. So, and what I mean by that is, okay, so you do decide to do the long distance thing. How long are you doing that? A year, 2 years? You know, who's gonna be moving to the other's, place? Like, for instance, if you live 12 hours away from someone, obviously you want your relationship to progress with them, then are you going to be the one moving, or are they going to be moving to where you are? So you have to decide which one of you will be making the move. And if that can't happen, then you have to reconsider why you're in the relationship in the first place. Because a relationship, when you're in a relationship with someone, there has to be some kind of point, or some kind of agreement. So some people, they date just to date, you know what I mean? But some people date for a purpose. They want to get married, they want to live together, whatever the case may be, they want to have a family. So the whole point of having a long distance relationship should have a point, Are we doing this for how long? And are we going to get married? If you're not the type that believes in marriage, okay, are we going to settle down, have a kid? Are we going to buy a house together? Has to be a point to all of this. There has to be a goal. And that's what I was trying to say in the first place. You have to have a relationship goal, especially when you're doing the long distance thing. So, because who wants to do it forever? You know what I mean? So, that is pretty much all I have to say for now about the topic. If you have any comments, questions, or anything else, leave a comment or send me a message. Like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay? I appreciate you sitting through this long video, but I did have to express, my opinion and give my tips on this topic, because I'm a little bit of an expert on that. Yes, I've had at least 2 long distance relationships, and including the one I'm in currently right now. So, I want it to work for you guys if you guys are in one. So, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to help, like always. Love you, and I will talk to you in another video. Bye.